Welcome into the End of Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. It's for the Friday card. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. We have a Grade 3 stake on the Friday card. It's on the turf, a turf sprint, the Buffalo Trace, Franklin County, for fillies and mares. And so let's start right there, Jim. Race 9 on the card. And these are usually full fields, as this one is, and usually very competitive, as this one is.
And so a scramble right at the end. It's going to be a photo finish, I'm sure.
So where did you land?
Well, I tried to narrow it down. I wanted to sprint a couple of the other races. I think there's a couple of horses that stand out here. One of them is Ruby Notion for Ron Giroux and Darren Miller. Won the Kentucky Downs Ladies Sprint at Kentucky Downs last out at 6.5 furlongs. But one that really sticks out is the Caress at Saratoga on soft turf at 5.5 furlongs. And this horse comes from out of it. Maybe not the running style we'll see if we get a little soft turf on Friday. The turf is okay right now, but we may get a little precipitation. But I think Ruby Notion fits really well here. And the other horse that I like in here is the 9 horse, which is... We'll get my papers here. Changeling, Changeling, the horse that ran against Ruby Notion at Saratoga, but came back and was impressive in the next time out at Saratoga at 5.5 furlongs with a 104 buyer. So those two horses beat each other. Changeling beats Girls Knows Best at Saratoga, who's the speed in here. So I think it sets up well for Changeling and Ruby Notion. They will be my top 2 picks in here. I'm going to do an exacta box, and I'm going to use those 2 in the pick 4. Girls Knows Best is a danger if she gets an easy lead. I don't think she's going to get that in here with Morticia, with Delectation. Conte Perito, I think, is for Wesley Ward is interesting as well. She's been really good in the past, but maybe not live up to expectations. And the other kind of long shot that might be a 5 to 1 or 6 to 1 is Belvoir Bay, shipping in from Woodbine after running in the West Coast in Grade 2s and Grade 3s. With Flavian Pratt, so you've got to always look at him on the turf. But going with Ruby Notion and Chanteline here in the Buffalo Trace, Franklin County.
Just to give our listeners a feel for how crazy this race is, I was listening to you go through your picks, and I was like, is he going to mention any of my horses? It's that crazy because I like the ones you mentioned, but I actually went in different directions. I usually in these races start at post position. I like that stat that Jeremy Plunk always has at Keeneland.com with his analysis of the trends of these races and how much out of the normal percentage I think it's the 3, 4, and 5 posts are in these full field turf sprints. And post position seems to be very important in these particular races. With that said, I took the 11 horse, Smiling Causeway. It is acknowledged a bad post, but I love the way Julien Leparoux is riding right now, and especially the way he rides this turf course, and he's exceptional with turf sprints, and he's really good when he and Arnaud Delacour hook up together in these types of races, and that's what you have here. And Delacour's 25% in turf sprints, and this horse is 1 for 1 at Keeneland, and I think he has enough speed to overcome the post. Whereas Ruby Notion seems, I'm going to plot out the race to where doesn't have quite that speed and maybe gets hung wide. So I'm going against her. So I'm taking Smiling Causeway for the win, but I'm going to go 4 deep when we get to the pick 4, like Belvoir Bay. Delectation, mainly because of that nice post position, and this horse was only a length and a half off Will Call in a sprint on Oaks Day for Wesley Ward. And then Morticia. I was kind of a toss-up between Morticia and Ruby Notion for my 4th horse, and I let the post position dictate it. So I'm taking Morticia there for the 4th slot when I get to the pick 4. And I easily could go all, because there's a horse we haven't even mentioned called Brielle's Appeal that posted like a 95 buyer on soft turf and a runaway win here in the spring. So it's just a crazy tough race. And as you can tell from our analysis, we're covering almost all the field and still leaving out contenders. Let's go to the pick 4. It starts in the 7th, so we're going to have to narrow down somewhere to make it an affordable ticket. Let's see what your ticket looks like starting in the 7th.
I thought I could narrow this one down. I thought that when I first looked at it, I was going to single the race with Galton. I really like Galton. I think that that race at Kentucky Downs and Optional Claimer sets him up very well for this. He's a tested 7-year-old gelding with 13 lifetime wins, and I really like the way he comes into this race. He's run a couple of times at Keeneland with 2/3, but I'm gonna take Galton here, but also Parlor is my other pick here for Eddie Canelian Ortiz. Again, coming in off a key race with the Old Friends $250,000 stakes at Kentucky Downs, where Next Shares won, and if you remember that horse, won an awfully big race this past weekend at Keeneland. So only 1 3/4 lengths behind Next Shares. So I think that Parlor fits well too. So I'm going to stand with 2 there. I could certainly make a case for possibly Mr. Cub, Slim Shady, but I have to narrow down somewhere, so I'm going to narrow down at the beginning and spread a little bit later. So go 110 there. In the 8th race, I'm going 4 deep with a 2, 5, 6, 8 with On Agenda, the End of Spirits, Hollywood Star, and Uber Kirk. I think End of Spirits is my pick there with label going 4 deep with 2, 5, 6, 8. Standing with the 9 and the 12 that we talked about, Ruby Ocean, Chanceline in the Franklin County, and then going as deep as I can afford in the last leg. I had all, but that was going to be $88, so I narrowed it down to 1, 3, 8, 10, 11. I really don't have a strong feeling for anything in that last race. It's a $20,000 open claimer. Come on over for Edgar Morales. He's been riding really well and has the bug 5 pounds. So maybe that 3 horse is my very lukewarm pick there. But I'm going to go 1, 3, 8, 10, 11. So my pick 4 is 110 with 2, 5, 6, 8 with 9, 12 with 1, 3, 8, 10, 11 for $40.
I'm going to go 5 deep in the first leg. Mr. Cub is actually the kind of shaky win pick for me because of the good record at Keeneland, 2 for 2, and has run well on off turf, since there probably is going to still be some moisture there for Friday's card. Parlor, I'm going to use Camelot Kitten just on back class, Slim Shady, and Galton. So all 5 of those there. I'm going to use Own Agenda and End of Spirits in the 8th. Then I'm going 4 deep in the Buffalo Trace, Smiling Causeway, Belvoir, Delectation, Morticia. Probably use Ruby Notion next, even though I don't like the post. She's certainly doing really well right now. But at some point, I figured I just had to cut it off because I could keep going and really almost use all. So I'm going with 3, 4, 6, 11. And then in the last leg, I like I Still Got It because of the Hartman-Le Peru tandem. They are really good together. Le Perou's a go-to guy for Hartman. And this horse, I Still Got It, won his first time out for the Hartman stable. So the 10 there, Come On Dover, you mentioned, I'll use. And then Dragon Moon, Wesley Ward's 40% on the turf to dirt move and 23% with newcomers to his barn. So I'm going to throw that one in as well. So for me, it's 1, 3, 4, 7, 9, 10 with 2, 5, with 3, 4, 6, 11, with 3, 5, 10. It's $72 for 50 cents. So it's a little pricey, but it's just a tough sequence on Friday. Saturday, of course, features Grade 1, the QE2 for 3-year-old fillies. So we'll be back to talk about that in our next edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.